welcome back to the PMR podcast. My name is Mitch. I'm an alcoholic addict, and this is episode 5. Welcome back.
What's up, guys? Welcome back. I'm Andrew. I'm an alcoholic and an addict. Excited to be here, Mitchie.
Hell yeah, let's go. And this is a big week for us for a couple reasons. One reason is episode 5, which is dope. There's a dope counter. Second reason is you see we're both sporting some Ravens gear. We are both diehard Baltimore Ravens fans, and game 1 is on Sunday. So when this drops on Monday, hopefully we'll be celebrating a victory over the Jets. Should be an easy dub.
Should be an easy dub.
And we're playing Joe Flacco, the legend
Elite.
of Baltimore. Elite quarterback Joe Flacco. I hope we don't hit him too hard because I do love Joe, but we can't lose.
He gave us our last Super Bowl, bro.
There's no way we lose to the Jets.
For people listening, this connection is just one Easter egg of many between Mitch and I.
Right.
Like growing up completely different areas, both Ravens fan. His
Yep.
old sobriety date, his original sobriety date's my birthday. I mean, there's a lot of other ones, but those are just the two kind of show you that we might be meant to do this.
Yeah, right. Definitely. We also wanted to say at the beginning of all the podcasts, if you're struggling or need someone to talk to about anything when it comes to drugs and alcohol, please feel free to reach out to us. We have our socials linked to everything. And now we do have an Instagram now, or not an Instagram. We've had an Instagram. We have a Gmail, pmrecovery24@gmail.com. So you can send us an email there also.
I think you can find that address on the Instagram page too, right?
Yeah, it's linked in the Instagram too. And then, cool. Our main goal has been and will be to build a community here. And it's starting to build. I mean, Andrew and I both get reached out to by people either thanking us or encouraging us to keep going after every single one drops and stuff like that. So we really appreciate that. And it helps us feel like what we're doing is a good thing. So very blessed and grateful to be doing this with Andrew. And so today we're going to do questions from you guys. And we loosely might try to do questions every 5 episodes. See if that sticks. But for this one, episode 5, questions, we'll kick it off. We'll get right into it here with the first one. We're not going to say who asked the questions or anything like that. We're just going to say what they were. Mm-hmm. And one of the questions I got was, what do you do when or if you want to drink or use?
Right. Real quick, shout out Steve-O. God bless.
Shout out Steve-O, yeah.
And yeah, man, I'm grateful to be here today, and I'm grateful to be recording this with you. I'm not so grateful that Lamar didn't sign his extension, but that's neither here nor there. So we'll jump right into the first question. I mean, this is I'm proud of our followers, our community for coming up with a really heavy hitting question, like right off the bat. Like this is especially early on, my first couple months being sober, this was a question that I had to deal with almost every day, because I did want to use, I did want to drink, I wanted to get high. And I think in rehab and in AA and through sponsors and people that took me under their wing, I learned a lot about what to do when this urge comes, because as an alcoholic, as an addict, this is my coping mechanism, right? I get high to cope with the feelings that everybody experiences, but my mechanism for coping and my response to hard emotions, or any emotions for that matter, is to get high and to escape. And I think it's useful, like, to just have people in general to talk to, but what my sponsor always told me, and what I hold to this day, is I have a back pocket of like 5 individuals, all in recovery, all recovering alcoholics and drug addicts that I know I can call at any time of the day or night, and they'll pick the phone up. And if they don't, then one of those five will at any given time. And because of that, I know when I start to get those urges, when I start to, find myself thinking like, damn, it'd be really nice to smoke a joint right now or whatever it is, I call. And again, this is another AA-ism. But the phone does seem heavy, like at these times. Like the phone gets heavy, right? And what that means is that when I'm feeling like this, I don't want to call. Like the disease part of my brain, I think we've talked about this, Mitch, but it wants me to be alone. Like this is a disease that operates in isolation. The opposite of addiction is community. Like if
one of my favorites.
That's again, yeah, that's why we're doing this, right? Like every time we make an episode, we talk about community. Like that's why this feels like a meeting, right? That's why I get the same feeling as a meeting doing this with you, because I know it's a community. It's just two people talking right now, but I know people are listening. Like I know I'm going to get feedback from people. And I know that like this community is a thing that's like fighting that isolation, that urge to be alone, right? And so when the phone is heavy, like I know I need to call someone. It's the same thing. Like when I don't feel like going to an AA meeting, that's when I know I have to go the most. Like my disease is
Definitely
working all the time to try to get me to get off my program, to stop doing the things that have kept me sober, like, and to start reverting back to my old ways. So talking to another alcoholic, another addict is probably the number one most important thing for me in those moments, when I feel like using. And the other thing, and whoever wrote this question, right, they may, yeah, it's doubtful to me, but you may not personally know or have a close relationship with somebody who struggles with addiction, like who you can call, right? And for those people, in a solution that I use sometimes anyway, is when I want to get higher, like I feel like I need some release and relief, I do something that gives me release or gives me relief. Like I go to the gym. Like I get those endorphins going. I work. I sweat. Like I go to hot yoga. I go run on the beach. Like I'll go for a swim. Like a lot of it for me is physical activity that releases like the same type of dopamine, the same type of serotonin, the same type of brain chemistry, in a healthy way. That's what I'm looking for. That type of relief. But again, like calling people, and you and I have told each other, you called me this past week, we had a great conversation. Like I've called you, like, and it's not like you and I are in those situations are going to use, but it helps to reinforce like, oh wow, like I got a real genuine relationship with this person. And you know what, the only reason that's possible is because we're both sober.
Yeah.
Like, so I think that's wicked important, bro. How about you?
Yeah, I agree with that. The community thing for sure. When it comes to like wanting to drink and use, I developed this thing like early in recovery. I don't think it was my idea. I think I was most likely told about this, but I definitely was. But like whenever I know my first year I was out of school and was wanting to use, and one of the stained things that I remember was I got off work. I was working at a restaurant like 6 days a week while I was waiting to get back into school. And I got off work and I went to the gas station that I went to every night. And I went in because I always would get a wood tip black and mild and like a Red Bull or something, because I always jumped on Xbox after work. Like my schedule was insane for that 8 months. But this specific night, unconsciously, I just like went up to the alcohol section, like in there. And one of the drinks that I liked when I was drinking were twisted teas. And I opened that up, like not even thinking, and put my hand on it. Like and then as my hand was on it, I snapped like back in. And I was like, why am I grabbing? I was like 4 months sober. I was like, why do I have my hand on a twisted tea, like a tall boy twisted tea? And I like took my hand out and basically I freaked the fuck out. Like I left the store and called my sponsor at the time and was like fully panicking. Like I didn't even like it, and it was crazy how like fast that was and how I got to there. And like I don't remember it being a particularly hard day. I don't remember there being anything that spurred it, you know. I just had gone to work. I was doing this, like I basically did the same thing every single day: work Xbox, and smoke cigarettes through all of that while for like my first 6 months of being sober. And I had finished IOP, I had finished inpatient, and I just snapped into grabbing that. So that really freaked me out. And since that experience, I kind of had this thing where going forward, if I was at a party or in a bar, or if I had a feeling of wanting to drink, specifically if I was out though, if I have that first feeling in the back of my head that's like, hey, like that, like even looking at someone else drink, and in my head it's like, that looks good, that voice, I leave. And I held myself to that one strike you're out mentality very strictly early on. Like the first year I held that, like if I heard that first thing, I was gone. And like, and it can freak people out early in recovery too. Like, why do I want to use? Like, why am I having these feelings? I was talking to someone yesterday that's in recovery, early in recovery, and they were like, I really want to drink. And I was like, it's really making me sad and feel bad about myself. And I was like, no, like you just got sober. Like this person is like under 90 days and they're like upset with themselves that they want to drink. Like that's normal. And I had a time like a couple months ago where I was having using dreams, which I hadn't in a long time. But I had these dreams that I was smoking and that I was like drinking and chilling. And I would wake up like really angry at myself. Like using dreams are a thing too. And I think it's just like what Andrew was saying is when you have those feelings or thoughts or dreams, tell someone. Because like those types of things, when you push them down, like I can handle it, that's what it wants, like that in terms of your addiction, because then it can like build and build and build and build and build. So reaching out and just telling someone, a lot of times just voicing things outwardly takes the power away from them.
Yeah, dude, and like I love what you said, like one strike you're out mentality. Like I there's no such thing as a geographical cure, right? But we can put ourselves in situations that will cater to our success or to our failure. Like, and being in a bar and looking at somebody drink like a margarita and like be like, oh man, that looks pretty good. Like,
you gotta go.
As soon as that, like, you gotta go.
You
got to go. You have to go somewhere that's a healthy surrounding for you. And the other thing I like that you said, like, we're not defined by our thoughts.
No,
we're not defined by our actions. Like we're defined by how we respond to our thoughts. Like if my thoughts determined like my sobriety, then I'd have a mental relapse every other freaking day. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't not think about drugs. I was a drug user for a long time.
Right.
Like I think to beat ourselves up for thinking about drugs is and thinking about using or having using dreams, like that's that like the evidence points to that being pretty logical, if that's what we're thinking about.
Well, yeah, I mean, like we have to be honest with ourselves. That's what we're practicing. And I'll just say two more things and we'll move on to the second question real quick. But I remember the term that it was that I used to hammer this my first 2 years, avoid avoidable circumstances. Like if you can avoid it, avoid it. Like, and that's really important in early recovery because your foundation isn't built for you to stand on yet. You're trying
Right.
to fucking refigure out how to be a human being. And so, like, putting yourself back into a hard situation is going to be a hard situation, right? Like, it just is. And yeah,
There's no
I think
need.
that's everything I have
You
to
know
say
what I
about
mean?
that.
There's
Yeah,
no need for us to be, and people who
no,
really love us and care for us aren't gonna be angry at us for not going to this party or this, gather,
right.
whatever it is. Like,
Yeah, I
yeah,
could think of a million times when I was back at school and like going out to the Sunnies or parties and stuff when I was sober. And people would be like, yeah, he just leaves. And I was like, yeah, bro.
yeah, I
Like,
do.
there's only so much I can take. like I'm sober and everyone in here is lit. Like I could so yeah, it was hard. But
All
our
right,
second
number two.
number
I
two,
got you.
um,
Do
what
you
do you got?
think people do you think people can drink in a controlled way?
Hmm. So this is one of my favorites, because I can't remember if I ever had gotten to a point where I was like, I remember when I was like heavily smoking, the guy I was smoking with was like, I think we need to chill out. And I was like, I never even got behind the controlled drinking or like, I didn't even try it. And I have met people that ended up being in the program, like AA and stuff. And they were like, yeah, I tried controlled drinking and stuff like that. I was like, there's no point in doing controlled drinking. Like, that's stupid to me. But I think this is an interesting question. It has two sides to it. Do I think people can drink in a controlled way? I think non-alcoholics can drink in a controlled way.
Mm,
I think non-addicts can drink in a controlled way. Definitely. I think that for people like us, and there is a difference, we can't. If this is, I really want to hammer on this. If you're an alcoholic or an addict, you will find that drinking a controlled way will not work for you. Um, and when I say work for you, that's another, like, there's a lot of layers to it because it's like Andrew and I would never come on here or never tell someone in real life, text, whatever, face to face, I think you're an alcoholic addict. I've never said that in my entire life to someone. Never. Because that's not my choice to make. And that's not my thing. That's not for something for me to say. And I really challenge myself to not even like reference someone as being an alcoholic addict because that is 100% a decision that that person has to come to, for one. And for two, like, it's none of my business in terms of like that. That's just something that someone has to do on their own. They have to come to that on their own. So do I think you can drink in a controlled way? Basically, if you aren't, uh, then I mean, basically what I'm trying to say is it comes down to what level of consequences or issues in your life are you willing to put up with? Because I've
right.
heard of people that are, I remember like a couple of years ago, I saw this like Vice video of this like super high up CEO that was a full on heroin addict. And he was like making, a couple million a year, right? So from his perspective and from an outward perspective, like he's killing it. He's making $1 million a year, but we have no idea what's happening in his internal life, right? We have no idea what's happening in his head and like all that stuff. So the whole drinking a controlled way thing is kind of like what you're willing to put up with. And have you hit enough consequences where you'd like to stop? That's really what it comes down to for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, like an alcoholic, a non-alcoholic, a non-addict can drink or use in what we would call, because we're alcoholics, like we would call it a controlled way,
Mm-hmm.
like because they'll have a drink or two and you know they'll be done and they'll go to bed and they'll continue, like their night will not revolve around drinking or using, their existence will not revolve around drinking or using. I think
Right.
control in this context is a loaded term, because you can't the point that I don't disagree with you on, I just have like a slightly different take. I think like an alcoholic can physically, if he needs to, like in a certain period of time, he might be able to control his drinking or using, like, but he has to, he'll tell himself, oh, I'm controlling it, I'm controlling it. But that whole time that he's not drinking or using, he's thinking about it. He's obsessing. He's like, when's the next time I can? Like, he makes a drinking schedule. Like, I remember for me, when I started out, and now this is like early progression stuff. Like, when I started out using Xanax, like, I would take a bar at night, like 6 p.m. or whatever. When practice ended, whatever it was, I'd take a bar Xanax at night, and I would do that 3 nights a week. And I was like, I'm not a drug addict because I'm using in a controlled manner. Like it's very I'm not using every day. I'm not even using half the week. I'm just using at night. It's just one bar, like all of the excuses, right? Like, but the obsession and like the scheduling and the putting using before other things, like if it was my using night, like I'm not doing anything else. Somebody could invite me to go to the goddamn Super Bowl, and if it's my Xanax night, no, I'm going to use Xanax. Like, I can't go. And because of that, like I told myself this lie that I was in control, because physically, like the physical fact was that I'm only using 3 bars a week, and it's just at night or whatever. And the mental and the emotional fact was that everything that I was choosing to do and every plan I was making and all of my thoughts were just thinking like, oh, I can't wait for Wednesday night when I can take a bar and just chill. So, I mean, and then, to elaborate, like down the line, the progression of the disease, like, because this is a disease, like, and it progresses like anything else, any other disease, like cancer, like any other debilitating fucking disease. This progresses, and the progression for me went from like the facade of control all the way down the line to using against my will. Like, I'd wake up in the morning and be like, you don't have to do cocaine, you don't have to do cocaine, you don't have to, like, and I wouldn't want to, and I would end up using every day, all day, despite my best intentions. So control is a dangerous term, because for an alcoholic or an addict, like in the early stages of using, we can use control as a justification to keep going. Like, we're in control, we're in control. And then all of a sudden, we're not. Like, the switch flips.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's an interesting question. Like, so long and the short is, I agree with you. Like, yes, if you're not an alcoholic or an addict, you can truly control your drinking. But if you're not an alcoholic or an addict, you're not like conscious or even like contemplating the fact that you are controlling your drinking, because you don't think of drinking like that. You're just like, I'm gonna have it's Friday night, I'm gonna have a glass of wine, and you continue on with your day, and you're not like, oh, good job controlling your drinking. You're just like, I had a glass of wine, and it's not the center of the night. It's not the thing that they look forward to. So yeah, it's a good question though.
Yeah, very good question. Yeah. I feel like I wanted to say one more thing on that, but it's all right.
It'll come back.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Just basically saying, like, the reason I think I was saying that is because it's kind of just the whole, because the controlled thing kind of is teetering on, do I have a problem or not? Right. As soon
Mhm.
as you start saying like, I need to drink in a controlled way, that's maybe because maybe you're coming to that decision because you were like, I might have a problem. Let's see if I can control this.
Right.
Something like that,
I
but
don't think you use the word control unless you have something negative has happened.
right.
You know what I mean? Like, oh
Yeah.
shit, I'm drinking too much. I need to control this.
Yeah. I mean, I've had
Like,
some really funny conversations with people coming up to me once they find out I'm sober and stuff and been like, I did have a problem, but I drink like in a controlled way now. And I'm like, all right,
good. I'm
all
happy
right.
for you.
Yeah. And I am, bro. Listen, deep down, like it's funny. And I'm not trying to make fun of them or anything like that, but it is like, uh, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Everyone's doing their own thing. All right. The third question for you, Mrs. Staley, how do you think you will talk to your kids about alcohol, drugs, and parties? Do you want kids?
That's like an initial question here.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Not to put you on the
at
spot.
this time, no. I mean,
Yeah, well, no, not right now.
that might be a guilt thing. Sitting in early recovery, right? Like I'm like, I don't know if I need more little dudes running around with
Little
half of my
demons.
genes in their
Yeah, right.
body. Like, I don't know if that's a great idea for anyone. But oh, man, this is a really, really good question. Like, I went and saw Chris Herron speak a few times. For people who don't know Chris Herron, he's a former NBA basketball player. You know, he played at BC. I think he played at Fresno State.
I
Went
watched
and
his
played.
documentary in rehab.
Yeah, man.
He's a
He
beast.
played all over the place. And since I got sober, I've seen him speak a few times because he's an inspiring speaker. He was an opiate addict and actively in the NBA, which is an unbelievable story. But he said something along. I think he got posed this question. I think he had a really great answer for it. You know, what he said is that he has a gift now. You know, not only for himself but for his kids, that he can be present for them, fully present. And I know that doesn't fully answer the question, right? But because of that, because of him being present, because of him being emotionally and spiritually and mentally and physically available for his children, you know, that for him, that has given his children, you know, like what he said was that love, like his love for them and them knowing his story, has not inspired fear in them, but given them confidence, like just to be themselves.
Mm.
What he said was, you know, what he says and what he says when he's speaking. You know, I saw him speak in front of a crowd of a lot of young people, and he talks about, you know, that if we have confidence in who we are, and it's not easy, like I know in high school and college, all the way through, and like in school, like I lacked a lot of confidence, and drugs gave me that, like that fake face, and that like warped
Mask.
self-confidence and that mask. Yeah, that's another word for fake face, right? And you know, what he says is, you know, it's hard for us to imagine, but we don't need drugs and alcohol to receive love or to be loved or to be accepted. Like, people just want to be accepted. And you know, I think if we show our kids compassion and tell, I'm going to tell my kids that and say, listen, like you guys don't have to use drugs or drink or smoke pot or do whatever to be your like accepted and be the best version of yourselves and to relax or to fit in. Like there are people who are like you who don't want to use drugs or alcohol, like who are getting pressured into this. It's like you're not alone. But the other thing that I would say is that like I'm never gonna get angry at a child of mine for using or drinking.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
because I know for me, like in my own experience, that wasn't gonna stop me at all. Like that was just gonna push me further down the road, like of wanting to be like, oh, you know what, fuck them. Like I'm gonna keep using the way I want to. Like if my kid comes home high, I'm gonna know, first of all. I mean, shit,
Right.
like
Yeah. I was about to say, I'm gonna be like, bro, you're not getting it past me. I don't know what to tell you. You're just not. Or
but
maybe they will. Maybe they will.
yeah, I guess that's a little
Maybe
overconfident
I'll
of
have
me, but
lost my touch.
nah, bro, I don't think we will. I I'd like to sit my kid down if he uses and say, hey, like, why? Why'd you smoke? Like, why, very honestly, like what feeling in you made you think like this is the best thing for me to do? Like, because that's a fucking question that I mean, did you ever get asked that like by your parents? No, like it was never like why. Well, Andrew, why do
That's a
why do
good
you
point.
think you emotionally or in your head like you need to smoke or get high or drink? Like why did you do that? Not like why did you get so drunk or why, just like why internally do you feel that you needed to do that?
Mm.
And that's all I can do is be like a kind, accepting, non-judging resource. And if my kid ends up in the halls with me, then shit, I'll be happy. Like, like, because it's a genetic disease. Like, it could happen, and if it does, then great. But I also know I can't get anyone sober besides myself. Like,
Right.
and and because of that, it's not like I'm not going to try or be there, but I'm not going to be offended. Like I'm not going to take it personally
Yeah.
if my kid can't, you know, doesn't want to be part of what I am,
Mm.
a part of. So yeah, man. How about you? You want kids or what?
Yeah. I think I grew up without a father.
Mm.
So I've always looked forward to being a father. I think that's something that like I really want uh to do and experience. So yes. But like you, not right now. Definitely not right now. But I do. And I this question, I don't know if I can answer it as too well, only because I don't know how I would react at that in that moment and something like that. But I do go to a meeting. My home group is every Tuesday. It's called the Great Fact. Um, and it is predominantly a older, it it's an all guys meeting, predominantly like 30 and over is the majority of the dudes in there. And it's a lot of family relationship, older men type like talking. That makes sense.
Mm.
And
Hmm.
there's a lot of long-term sobriety in there. So it's a lot of knowledge and stuff like that on being a husband and stuff like that. And so I hear a lot of stuff about kids and talking. And even this last Tuesday, there's a guy was talking about how he's like 48 years sober. He's like one of the wise men from this meeting. Like every time he talks, everyone's just like, you know. But he was talking about how his daughter is in recovery, and she just got like 20 years sober. And he said that when she was struggling like that, he said that he hammered the AA onto her. Like he was like, I'm in recovery. This is what you should do. Like come to a meeting with me. He took her to a meeting and stuff like that. And he said that that didn't work. He said that that pushed her away. He said that she had to, he said basically she had to come to it on her own. This is kind of what you're saying, like, and you do. So I, I, I think that having kids makes me nervous because, like you're saying, is a genetic thing. There's a lot of things that go into it. And so I would say like something that I've been trying to be is um, a safe, loving place. It's loving, safe place. Try to be a loving, safe place. So I wouldn't say that I'm not going to be like that hardo dad, like no drinking and drugging, but pretty much similar to what you said. Like, if it's a thing and it needs to be like addressed, I guess, like just having that conversation, an
Yeah.
open conversation, and not trying to do the extremes either other way. Not trying to be like super laid back where it's like all good, like do whatever you want, but not trying to be like, I'm locking you in your room for a week. Because both of those, I think there's the medium is probably the best result on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like everything else in AA, bro, right? We're trying to avoid up here. We're trying to avoid up here. We're trying to be right here.
Yeah.
Like
And
we're
I think
trying to stay right in the middle.
asking that why question too is really smart. And if they say like, oh, I was just doing it to have fun. Okay. Like, and even regardless of what they say, I feel like I would just be like, all right. I don't know. I don't know. I guess,
And it's hard. Like my sponsor, my sponsor has a kid, right? And you know, he says the same thing, right? Like, and they don't have problems and they don't show signs or whatever. Like, but he says like this, if they ever were to, like, it's going to be a great exercise in like patience and like the fact that we can only keep our side of the street clean.
yeah.
Like, and I think the ultimate, motivation is that if we are in a bad place, if we're using, if we're drinking, if we're not in our own program following it, like living our best way of life, then we can't be that resource for them.
Yeah.
So it's almost like we have to keep it focused on us. Like,
Yep.
okay, let's be that resource.
Amen.
So this is our fourth question, another good one. How can friends and family members support, recovery, our recovery, or whatever? This is a good one.
Yeah. Very good one. And I feel like something along this line will be a full episode, but like a quicker version would be, I mean, my thing is I probably do this a lot. I just try to speak from experience rather than like actually saying what I think they exactly can do. And I think like from my experience, reaching out, like I have one friend, bro, that literally checks in on me, and not in a like, are you okay? Like, but just checks in on me, bro, like multiple times a week. And not even like recovery based, but he knows when my Tuesday meeting is. And like this gets me emotional just like saying it. Oh man, that came out of nowhere, bro. That was kind of wild. But yeah, bro, he just checks in on me, like he knows when my Tuesday meeting is and when it ends, and I get a text after like, how was the meeting? Like that's very meaningful to me.
Mm.
God damn.
Yeah, bro, you
Oh,
can
it's so
see how
sneaky, bro.
special it is. You can see how special it is.
That was
Like,
very sneaky. My bad. I didn't think I was, but yeah, like, so he does that. He knows I meet with my sponsor every Thursday, and he'll be like, yo, I was meeting with your sponsor. Stuff like that really makes me feel loved and supported. And I think early in my recovery, I was checking. Like when I was in rehab, the people that didn't send me anything, or when I got out, the people that didn't do this, didn't do that, I was like, fuck you. Like, I'm going to show you. I had a lot of those feelings, and I've really progressed from that. But, and I used to count heads when, like, you didn't say congratulations for my sobriety date. Like, you must not love me. You must not care about me. You gotta be really careful about shit like that, because that's not what it's about.
no.
And just because they didn't doesn't mean they don't like love you or care for you and stuff. And I'm thankful that I've moved off past that. It's more along the lines of like what I was referencing, like um, little things here and there, um, just support, and that two-way street. Like, can I go to this person when I'm struggling? Can I go to this person when I'm doing really well?
Right.
Just
Right.
relationships.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't have anything really crazy to add. I think I mean, your emotions right now are just such a great indicator of how important these people are to us. Like, I have a few people, and you know who you are for these people who check on me. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't have much different of a response than you. I think for family, it can be hard. Um, because you want to respect boundaries, right? Um, I have family members who are very supportive, but like you can tell that they don't really understand what I was doing, or or the whole story. And what I would say is it's not really important, like what I was doing, or the background of it. Um, there are resources too, like Al-Anon, um, for family members. You know what I mean? Like, and those are useful and important as well. But I think for family, the biggest thing that I could say is like you almost have to be open to like some scary stuff. Like if you want to be there to support, then you've got to be prepared to hear some sad like stories. Like where we come from is this, a lot of it is a sad story. Like it's not a happy-go-lucky like Disney movie. Like we come from hurt and pain in a lot of cases. But I think while in recovery, it's in terms of like drinking or using around us, like you have to respect our boundaries. If we tell if we tell you that we would prefer if you didn't drink around us or didn't use this or that or the other thing, then obviously please don't do that. And I think family and friends do respect that in most cases. I think just being open-minded, and also understanding, like I think this is something I went through with my parents and with close friends and family, like my brother and others. Like, I'll talk to you and let you in on some stuff and use you for support in a lot of ways. But like in terms of my addiction, like I'm honestly a lot closer with people in the program. Like
Yeah.
I talk with you or with my sponsor or people that I went to treatment with, or whoever it is, like uh, a lot more about the daily struggles of being an addict in recovery. Like, and I think what I would say is family members, like, please don't take that personally.
Mm-hmm.
um because I'm not leaving information out to you on purpose. I'm doing that because I have to speak with my own kind about the problems that we can identify with. Like, and I think having a clear conversation with family members is about that is important. But yeah, that's a good question. um I think we should roll into this last question for the last 10 minutes here.
Yeah. I just wanted to also say that because I didn't really speak on the family, or friends. Uh, I mean family. But yeah, for the family thing, just real quick, I agree with you 100% with like you can't, like there's a split between family and stuff like that, and a lot of the times our family members we hurt the most in addiction and in recovery. And so if you haven't spoken about that or really gotten down to that and stuff, there's a lot there, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like when you're struggling, you wanted the support, and when you're in recovery, you wanted the support. But we have to be aware that we hurt a lot of people, you know. And so
Right.
if you don't hear from certain people, maybe you hurt them. You know, I had to come to that realization for sure. But yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like friends and family and how we grew up and stuff like that, that'll be a dope. Damn it. That'll be a good episode.
That's two.
That's
That's
two.
two, right?
That's
That's
two.
not bad.
That's
That's
not
not
bad.
bad.
And I don't think I've
You
said
have
it in like the middle 3 episodes.
no,
I've
but
tried to take it out of my entire vocabulary.
the second episode or the first episode, you said it like 5 times. I had to
Yeah.
count on it. But it's all right. All right,
All right.
we're getting there. Progress, not perfection, baby.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's hit this. This last question is good, and this is another question I think that we could spend like a whole episode on. That I want to get your thoughts on. Um, so it's a question we got. I have an issue believing in a higher power, um, or God. So can I still get into AA and into recovery? So,
Yeah. That is a good one. I think that
yes.
it's a good last one for sure.
Mm,
Yes, you can still get into recovery or AA, definitely. But I think you'll find that it will be hard to, from my experience now, I need to be careful because I have met and heard of a lot of people recovering without AA. AA is not the one-stop shop. AA is
mm,
not the only way to recover. I stayed sober for 3 years in my recovery without AA, really, continuously in my life. But for me, those are my worst 3 years in recovery by a lot. For me. I I have gotten a lot from AA. I've gotten a lot from the steps. And I've gotten a lot from believing in something greater than me, because alcoholics and addicts are ego driven, self-will driven, uh, very much like me. And so for me to be able to really recover and work on myself, I need to believe in something greater than myself. I need to believe in that there is someone, something, whatever it is, up there, over there in this room right now that is taking the reins when I let them go. You know,
Yep.
I talk about a leap of faith going into rehab. That's believing in a power greater than yourself. I talk about
Yeah.
like doing the step works and stuff like that. Step one, right? When
Yeah.
we're unable to control this thing that we have, and we need to believe in something greater than ourselves. And so for me, once I finally started doing that, my higher power is associated with that 333 number, because I know it's like, you know, if you look it up, not to be like too corny or whatever, but it's like the angel number and stuff. And so my real name is Robert Mitchell Williams. So Robert is my first name. I was named after my uncle. Um, I don't know if my family would be upset. I know my mom listens to the podcast. I appreciate you listening. But Robert was an uncle who committed suicide in my family, my mom's brother. I never got to meet him. But he struggled with mental health for sure. And he apparently, you know, all my family's like, you look like him, you act like him. Apparently he had like this really cool, like blue Mustang and stuff. Everyone's like, you would have loved him, like all this stuff. And I'm directly named after him. And so part of me has taken on that trauma of his passing, whether anyone in the family, I mean, it just has. I don't know how to really explain it. I've actually talked to someone in a meeting that was named after a family member who committed suicide. And it's like a real thing where you like subconsciously take on that,
Mm,
take on it in some way, you know. And when people say you look like him, you act like him, you know, that is internalized, and I definitely internalized that. And so when I was in issues or when I was struggling and stuff like that, and I would see the 333 and kind of look up, you know, and see him as looking over me. And for whatever reason, I have, that is very important to me, that there's someone else there, because we both had a lot of issues with feeling alone and stuff like that. So it's very comforting.
yeah.
And so I know a lot of people get burned to AA by God and stuff like that. And I did too. I went to an all boys Catholic high school that was like Jesuit, and we prayed and had priests and stuff like that. And I'm not bashing on religion and stuff, but for me, I didn't click with that too much. But I do click with the spirituality. I do click with believing in something greater than myself. And so if you're scared of going to a meeting or scared of getting into recovery or something like that, I would say because of the God thing, I would say try it.
Yeah,
Try to go
man.
to one and see what happens.
I mean,
Because
but
it grew for me.
all I'll say is like you're a perfect example of this. Like people get turned off at AA because some of the language in it is like God and find, this is where you'll find God. And like for me, I know that I had a lot of resentments against God when I got into AA,
Yep.
when I got sober. Like, and when I look back at those resentments, that's because I was raised religious, went to Episcopal church. I didn't go to, you know, Catholic school or anything like that, but I was a regular churchgoer with my family, and I know I prayed, but I prayed for selfish things, right? I prayed like, all right, please God, let us win this game. Please God, let me get an A on this test. Please God, let this pretty girl want to go out with me. Please God. And then then the prayers turn into like, please God, let my Xanax dealer answer. Please God, let those blue lights not be for me. Please God, get me out of jail. Please God, please God, get me out of this hospital. Please God, let this urine test come back. Like all this shit that was just like, help me and get me out of this jam. And then when like things wouldn't happen, like, because clearly I didn't get out of the jam. Like Andrew was in the jam. Very like I got in trouble. I got, whatever. Like, so I was like, well, clearly God doesn't exist. How could God exist? He didn't answer my fucking prayers. And so that got me in a really bad way with God and all of that. And I think when I got to AA, something that struck me is like, we don't have to have, number one, we don't have to have a higher power that stays the same way,
Yeah,
like
good
through
point.
everything. That shit could change daily. And it did for me. Like my first higher power, the first time I felt like, they phrase it so well in the literature, AA and beyond, like all a higher power is a power greater than myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been shown to be time and time again. Like it doesn't have to be a God like of a traditional religion. It could be. It's great if it is. That's awesome. But
Yeah.
it just has to be something bigger than me. And I think in my experience, it's been made damn clear to me
Right.
that there are a lot of things going on that are bigger than me.
Yep.
Like for example, some of mine through the year and a half have been, a grandfather who's passed away. I think that's a powerful one because that's someone we can talk to, right? Like your uncle, for instance, like there's like that's a tangible thing, like person that depending on your beliefs that like I can look up and talk to.
Right.
Like I've had, the room of the therapy, like the group therapy room at the place that I went to treatment was my higher power because it was a bigger group than just me, and there was a lot of emotions and spiritual like experiences happening in there, a lot of tears, a lot of self-discovery. I was like, this is powerful, and this is outside, this is bigger than me. Like I've had like my dog be my higher power. Like I've had, for a long time it was the ocean, and then it was largely like nature, and we've had the universe, and like, and right now I can't really name like, oh, that, this or that is my higher power, but I can see it everywhere. Like I know how insignificant it's been made clear to me how insignificant I am. Like, not to say I'm like nothing or I'm useless or I'm little or whatever, like, but I'm not the fucking main actor in the
Right.
show here. Like,
That's the point right there.
exactly. Like, and I think that just that definition, a power greater than myself, has completely kind of flipped that whole God complex
Yes.
that I dealt with.
Yes.
But that's a good question because initially that was keeping me outside of the room. So I was like,
Mhm.
fuck this. Like, I don't believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, you don't have to
Right.
believe in
Right.
this fucking chair.
Yes.
Okay. But,
Yes.
you know, believe in your fucking Starbucks coffee.
Right.
Like, believe in whatever it is.
Yeah. Get
But it's
outside of
not
yourself,
you.
bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get outside of yourself. Yeah. Yeah. Like I remember I got into like a fight with my first sponsor. I was like, I don't believe in anything. Like, like it's so unrealistic that there could be a God, and I was like a year sober. And he was like, bro, just believe in something greater than you. And like, I didn't even hear it. I didn't even hear that. I was like, oh my God, just leave me alone. I was still angry and like, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, you hit it on the head. You killed that. It's definitely exactly all that it is.
That's all it is, bro.
Yeah.
That's
So
all it is.
to answer the question, yes.
Yes. Short answer. Yes.
Yes, you can if you don't believe in it. And maybe, hopefully at some point you will.
Yeah,
I know that
this is
helped
this
me.
has been a dope episode, bro. Like,
Yeah, I feel like we got to so much, which is
we
awesome.
got to cover a lot, like in a little span, and we got to have a couple of laughs.
Yeah.
We got to break that. So you actually almost cried. So we had some tears.
But that was just like the friends thing is so great. It's so important. Like
Powerful, man.
you too, bro. Like having you in my life now, like my relationships have a lot of them have like flourished into like almost something more than like, oh, that's my friend. Like that is like,
that's more, bro.
there's not a word for it really. It's just like the connections that I have with people now in recovery, now that I've like stopped being such an asshole. Not all the way, but more than I'm less of an asshole now than I was. It's just like a beautiful thing, really. It is a beautiful thing.
My buddy, shout out Will Howard, is a great friend of mine. He's got a word for it. He calls it his soul brother. Like he's not, we're not friends anymore, bro. We're soul brothers. Like, yeah, that's true. Like friends, like we'll shoot the shit or whatever. Like soul brothers will talk about how we're feeling, like, and what's going on in life, like, and how we can help each other and support each other. And that's what this is, dude. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Amen to that. Amen to that. I think we're going to be right under an hour, which is good.
We hit it. We
nailed
it.
Them. Boom, 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 boom. 5 questions. Thank you all for sending in the questions. We really appreciate it. That was fun. I like doing that a lot.
That was fun, bro.
Yeah. And keep sending them in if you like, and keep reaching out. We appreciate all the support. And I think we're approaching 1,000 total views on YouTube, which is nuts. That's pretty sweet.
Let's go. How many subscribers do we have?
Get those eyes on there. How many? Let's see.
34?
I think no, bro. We're pushing
40? Yeah.
Pushing 40, 36. Baby. Pushing 40. We're at 39.
Let's go. 39. Let's get to 40.
Come on,
Let's go.
Who's gonna be lucky number 40? Who's it gonna be? No. Get here now. Get your spot now. I don't want to hear all this. I was at day one when we're at 7 billion followers. But no, for real, we appreciate all of you very much.
Shout out Steve-O.
Shout out Steve-O, the best editor, producer in the world. Really appreciate you. We send
intro for everything, bro.
Yeah, the intro is fire. Really
fire.
Like that. Fire. The background behind that song is Steve-O and I, we've made a couple songs together. We made a song on Spotify that has like 500,000 plays in quarantine. It was a banger, but we make like EDM house music and stuff. And so he'll just send me tracks sometimes. And he sent me that track. I was driving, I played it, and I was like thinking about starting a podcast. I don't know if we had just talked or we were about to talk, but the podcast was on my mind. And I was like, that is a podcast intro, outro song.
It is.
So
it is.
And I like called him and I was like, that's crazy how that happened, So just, like we were just saying, things go as they go. It's really out of our hands, to be honest. But very appreciative of him and all of you. So thank you again. Keep coming back. We appreciate it. And big trust. Come on. Let's go, Vens.
Big trust. Let's go.
Come on now. Lamar, I love you, bro. And if I could give you $250 million guaranteed, I would.
I would. All right, bro. Much love.
Much love.